All right, let's talk about the future of cybersecurity. Specifically, what every single business out there needs to get ready for by 2026. Because the risks are changing, and believe me, they are coming from places you would absolutely never expect.
So let's just get right to the heart of it with the big question. How are digital threats really going to hit your business in the next couple of years? It's not just about bigger viruses or, smarter hackers. The entire game is changing. And here's where it gets a little weird. It all starts with a service that your company might not even be a customer of. Now, I know that sounds completely backwards, but stick with me, because it's the absolute key to understanding this new world of digital defense.
To really get this, let's start with a feeling we all know way too well. That moment of just pure frustration, when a service you completely depend on just stops. It's that universal modern headache, and it's so much more than a simple inconvenience.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? These digital services, they aren't luxuries anymore. They are utilities. We expect them to be there, period. We have zero patience when they fail, and we treat them just like power or water. And that expectation, that's really where the problem begins.
Let's take a real-world example. Remember back in late 2025 when Cloudflare had that big outage? Now, you might be thinking, we don't use Cloudflare. But chances are you felt it. Suddenly, Zoom calls were dropping, Microsoft Teams wouldn't work, and even ChatGPT was down. You were probably cursing at Zoom, but the actual problem was buried several layers deeper.
And that right there, that brings us to our first major prediction. The biggest risk you face isn't just an outage of a service you pay for. It's the hidden, totally invisible dependencies that you have no idea even exist, until it's way too late.
So the concept we have to wrap our heads around is the digital supply chain. And it's not just your list of vendors, it's this massive tangled web of services that their services rely on, and so on and so on. It's a whole ecosystem, and it is incredibly fragile.
And just look at how deep this rabbit hole goes. You've got your company, right? You rely on a cloud provider. Simple enough. But they rely on a network service, which relies on a data center, which in turn relies on a hardware supplier. A failure way down at step 5 can ripple all the way up and knock you offline at step 1. Okay, so now that we've got that idea of a hidden supply chain, let's add another layer. These dependencies are no longer just vulnerable to some technical bug. They are now prime targets in global conflicts. Geopolitical events are becoming direct attacks on your business.
And the main weapon here is the DDoS attack. Honestly, the easiest way to think about it is just a malicious traffic jam. An attacker floods a service with so much junk data that real users, like your customers, can't get through. It's just brute force disruption.
And the scale of this is it's staggering. In the first half of 2025 alone, one firm monitored more than 8 million of these attacks. This isn't some rare event. It's a constant, raging storm of digital chaos happening all the time.
This chart really says it all. I mean, look at this. According to the EU's own cybersecurity agency, DDoS attacks made up a whopping 60% of all cyber incidents hitting public organizations. It is, without a doubt, the weapon of choice for anyone who wants to cause trouble.
And who are they aiming at? Well, basically the pillars of our entire society. National infrastructure, the ISPs that connect us to the internet, news outlets, banks, even governments themselves. An attack on any one of these sends massive shockwaves through that whole digital supply chain we just talked about. So this leads us to our third major prediction, where technology itself starts to create a new and really dangerous divide. As the bad guys get smarter, so do our defenses, especially with AI. But what this is creating is an arms race, and it has very clear winners and losers. What we're seeing is this massive defense gap opening up. On one side, you've got the haves, big corporations building their own custom AI platforms. Think of these like autonomous AI security teams that proactively hunt for threats all on their own. They have a huge advantage. And then on the other side, you've got the have-nots, the small and medium-sized businesses stuck with off-the-shelf tools, leaving them way more exposed and basically soaking up all the leftover risk.
So, how do these three things, the hidden supply chain, digital warfare, and the AI arms race, all lock together? Well, this is where we get to the central and frankly most dangerous twist in modern cybersecurity.
And this is where it all comes full circle. Remember how we started this whole thing? The idea that a threat could come from a service you don't even use? Well, now we're going to see exactly how that happens. So here it is, the main takeaway. By 2026, the very best, most sophisticated AI defenses that large companies use will actually create the single biggest risk in their own supply chains. Because attackers adapt. If they can't break down the door of the fortress, they'll just find the weakest link connected to it.
And that leaves us with one final and really critical question for every single business out there. If your biggest partner, your most important client, has turned themselves into an impenetrable AI-powered fortress, well, does that just paint a giant target right on your back?